Don't wish it were easier. That's the whisper of the world's weary, the quiet cry of those who feel crushed beneath the weight of their dreams. The ones who stare at the mountain and say, "Why is this so high?" Instead of asking, "What must I become to climb it?" Don't wish it were easy, wish you were better. Because life doesn't bend to convenience. It doesn't soften its storms because you're tired. It doesn't lower the bar because you haven't trained. Life gives you the weight. It hands you the resistance. It shows you the wall not to block you, but to build you. And the moment you understand that, you stop asking life to be easy and start asking yourself to be exceptional. That's the dividing line. The average seek comfort. The uncommon seek capacity. The weak pray for lighter loads. The strong forge stronger backs. It's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to elevate you. Because growth lives on the edge of struggle. Power is buried in pressure. And the life you want, the one that burns in your bones, doesn't respond to hoping, wishing, or waiting. It responds to one thing: who you become in the fire. So the question isn't, why is this so hard? The question is, who must I become to match this? When the road is steep, become steeper. When the night is long, become relentless. When the noise gets loud, become silent inside. You don't rise by removing obstacles. You rise by overcoming them. You don't grow by lowering the standard. You grow by raising yourself. And the moment you stop wishing for easy is the moment you begin to unlock your edge. You stop being a victim of circumstances and start becoming a master of response. Because what happens outside, you will always be unpredictable. But who you are inside, that's under your command. And if you dare, if you're bold enough to trade excuses for execution, blame for belief, comfort for character, everything changes. You stop living at the mercy of life. You stop negotiating with your lower self. You stop waiting for motivation to move. You move anyway. That's where power lives. In motion. In decision. In the disciplined act of becoming better when most would have backed down. It's not about shortcuts. It's not about hacks. It's about one truth that separates the winners from the watchers. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better, and then become it. Because wishing is passive. Becoming is power. Wishing waits for the world to change. Becoming changes you, and when you change, the world has no choice but to shift in response. You've been told to manifest, to visualize, to hope with intensity. But hoping without effort is spiritual sedation. Visualization without transformation is just fantasy. If your dream is real, then prove it with your grind. Back it with becoming. The ones who change the world, the ones who leave echoes behind, when they're gone, they don't wish, they work. Not just at the task, but at themselves. Every day, brick by brick, they build the foundation that can hold the weight of greatness. They don't ask for an easier path. They sharpen their steps. They don't curse the resistance. They welcome it because resistance is feedback. Resistance is proof that you're moving towards something meaningful. And the ones who rise are the ones who stop asking life to lighten the load and start asking for stronger shoulders. So what's holding you back? Is it fear? Insecurity? Laziness dressed as self-care? Be honest. Because success doesn't care how you feel. It cares who you are. And who you are is whatever you consistently choose to be. You want more? Be more. You want different? Become different. If you're still blaming the economy, the algorithm, your upbringing, your competition, pause. It was never about them. It was always about you. This world rewards the ones who rise not, the ones who complain about the climb. So climb, bleed if you have to, sweat if you must, cry if it comes, but climb anyway. Because you're not just chasing a result, you're forging a resilient identity. You're becoming the kind of person who doesn't shrink in the heat, but who heats the room just by entering it. You're becoming someone who doesn't wait for opportunities, but someone who creates them by sheer force of energy, effort, and elevation. You don't attract success by needing it. You attract it by earning it. Not in the eyes of the world, but in the eyes of the mirror. That's where it all begins. You versus you. You and the discipline you said you'd keep. You and the voice that whispers rest when you haven't earned it. You and the standard no one else will hold you to, but you will anyway. Because you know, wishing doesn't change your life. Work does. And not just working on things, but working on you. So go back to the gym. Go back to the journal. Go back to the quiet. Go back to the grind that doesn't give you dopamine, but gives you identity. Because that's what this game is. Not collecting trophies. Not stacking accolades. Not appearing successful. It's becoming unshakable. And you can't fake that. You can't post your way into that. You can only earn I-tone choice at a time. And if you're ready, if you're done wishing for easier, then everything changes right now. Then step into the mirror of truth, because everything you seek starts here. Mindset, not a buzzword, not a slogan on a hoodie. Mindset is the operating system of your life, the invisible architecture that determines every decision, every reaction, every limit you honor, and every breakthrough you allow. Your mindset is either your greatest weapon or your silent executioner. It is not your genetics. It is not your circumstances. It is not the opinions of people who haven't done what you're about to do. It is your internal code. And the code can be rewritten, but only if you stop treating your thoughts like facts. Only if you stop allowing fear to dress itself up as logic. Only if you confront every story you've repeated to yourself, the ones that say, "I'm not ready, it's too late. I've already tried," and instead of reciting them, you rewrite them. Because mindset is not just what you believe, it's what you practice believing until it becomes who you are. A mindset of growth, a mindset of resilience, a mindset that says everything is training. Every loss, training. Every delay, training. Every rejection, every redirection, every painful pause, training. And once you live there, once you breathe that, once you embed it into your blood, you become unbreakable. Because no matter what life throws, you absorb it, alchemize it, and evolve. You evolve not because the world gets easier. You evolve because you get stronger. And that evolution gives birth to vision. A vision so clear, so precise, so undeniable, that it begins to pull you forward like gravity. You don't chase anymore, you align. You don't hustle for approval, you walk in assignment. Vision gives your pain a purpose. It gives your time a target. It gives your discipline a direction. Without vision, you drift. With vision, you drive. And not just anywhere forward. Past the critics. Past the old habits. Past the version of yourself that would have quit 6 months ago. Because vision turns work into worship. Discipline into devotion. And from that devotion rises purpose. Purpose isn't a poster. It's not a slogan you slap on your brand. Purpose is fire in your soul. It is remembrance. It's remembering why you started. Why you woke up early when no one was watching. Why you kept going when the crowd went silent. Why you said no to what was good enough. Because you knew you were built for great. Purpose reminds you that your life is not random. Your struggle is not wasted. Your energy is not cheap. You're not here to blend. You're not here to survive. You're here to build something eternal. And that purpose, it doesn't allow shortcuts. It doesn't entertain excuses. It demands discipline daily, not just when it's convenient, not just when it feels good, every damn day. Because discipline is the purest form of self-respect. Discipline says, I value my future more than my feelings. It's brushing past distraction. It's silencing the craving for comfort. It's becoming a master of self, not a prisoner of impulse. Discipline doesn't ask for applause. It asks for consistency. And consistency doesn't come from hype, it comes from identity. You're not doing it for dopamine. You're doing it because this is who you are now. And when that discipline compounds, when you show up through the boredom, through the noise, through the resistance, you don't just create results, you create power. Not the kind that can be stolen or shaken, but the kind that radiates from the core of who you've become. And that power, that's when the world starts to respond differently. Because you're no longer asking, why is this so hard? You're now saying, this is exactly what I needed to become who I was always meant to be. Then let the fire spread. Because now that mindset is locked, vision is carved, purpose is roaring, and discipline has rooted itself in your bones, now comes action. Not the kind that feels good, not the kind that gets applause, the kind that compounds quietly, day after day, unnoticed, until it becomes undeniable. Because movement is the language of momentum. Action is how belief proves itself. You don't believe in a better future unless your feet start walking toward it. You don't believe in transformation unless your habits embody it. You don't believe in yourself unless your behavior reflects it. Before the breakthrough, before the praise, before the world claps. Real power is when you keep showing up with no guarantee except the one you give yourself. I will not fail because I will not stop. Most people are stopped by silence, by setbacks, by lack of validation. But the ones who rise, they're powered by decision. They don't need a sign. They are the sign. And once action becomes identity, once movement becomes non-negotiable, you realize something profound. The goal was never just the finish line. It was who you had to become to cross it. And that who cannot be shaken. Because now you've earned the right to be called resilient. Not because you never fell, but because you kept getting up. Resilience is the scarred soul that says, try me again. It's the tired body that takes one more step. It's the mind that's been through hell and back and still holds peace like a weapon. It's knowing that everything they used to count you out has become your crown. The failures, the losses, the heartbreaks, you wore them all, and you didn't break. You built, and in that building you became something rare. Resilience is the proof that life hit you hard, and you didn't flinch. You adapted, you pivoted, you refused to fold. Because what bends without breaking is what can bend the world. That's adaptability. That's power in its most fluid form. The weak cling to old identities. They refuse to change, and they rust. But the strong evolve. Not because it's easy, but because they're loyal to growth over comfort. Because they don't worship routine, they worship expansion. And so they shift. They rise in uncertainty. They dance with chaos. They meet change with creativity. And life rewards the fluid. Because success doesn't go to the rigid. It goes to the ones who know how to keep their core unchanged while letting everything else transform. And when you live like that fluid, resilient, in motion, and in mission, gratitude becomes your gravity. Not because life is easy, but because you have become strong. Gratitude becomes your superpower. Not the surface kind, but the kind that makes you stop mid-struggle and smile. Because even in the storm, you were made for this. The weight didn't crush you, it crafted you. The pressure didn't break you, blessed you. You no longer need easier. You just need to keep becoming better. And when all of that aligns your mind, your mission, your motion, your meaning, you don't just live. You ascend. And everything you were chasing, now it begins chasing you. Then stand tall, because this is the moment you were built for. This is the moment the old self dies quietly. And the new self rises not as a whisper, but as a roar. This is not motivation. This is metamorphosis. This is not hype. This is holy reconstruction. Because you've burned the bridge back to the version of you that begged for things to get easier. That version who flinched at struggle, who cowered before adversity, who waited for the wind to change before lifting the sail. He's gone. She's buried. What remains is a force forged in pressure, shaped by decisions, defined by discipline and breathed into power by the fire of unshakable identity. You no longer ask for lighter burdens. You ask for greater strength. You no longer run from the climb. You dig your hands into the mountain and command it to remember your grip. You no longer seek shortcuts. You become the path. The world will try to distract you with comfort. It will seduce you with convenience. It will whisper lies dressed as logic. But you know that ease is the enemy of excellence. You know that the man on the summit was not dropped there he climbed, blistered and bruised, past the bodies of those who waited for the terrain to flatten. You know that the life you want is not hiding from you. It's waiting on you to rise. So rise. Stand not as someone seeking approval, but as someone who remembers who they are. Stand not as someone praying for the finish line, but as someone possessed by the process. You are the fire now. You are the shift. You are the signal that enough is enough. You are the voice inside that says, I do not need easier. I do not need mercy from the mountain. I do not need life to make room for me. I make room for myself. I become undeniable not through noise, not through luck, but through relentless self-mastery. Because that is the only thing that lasts. Jobs fade. Titles fade. Money fades. Applause fades. But who you become, that is forever. And if you've truly decided, if your soul is done tolerating your old life, then from this moment forward, you will never again ask the world to shrink. You will never again wish for comfort, safety, or escape. You will rise with a spine of steel and a soul on fire and whisper the words that changed everything. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. And then become. You don't need more time. You don't need more books. You don't need more podcasts or more motivational clips or more journals full of ideas you never execute. What you need is to move, because the world doesn't change for the person who learns the most. It changes for the one who acts on what they've learned. You've read the quotes. You've heard the speeches. You've written your goals. But until you act, you are only accumulating potential energy. And potential energy never built anything. It never changed the world. It never shifted your bank account, your body, your identity, or your legacy. Only kinetic energy does that. Only movement. So let this hit you like truth in a quiet room. Learning is not growth. Learning is the seed. Action is what makes it bloom. And most people, they've got libraries of wisdom with no fruit on their tree. Not because they're lazy, but because they confused consumption with transformation. They believed that understanding a concept meant they had mastered it. But you don't master what you've learned. You master what you practice. Reading about strength doesn't make you strong. Studying courage doesn't make you brave. Understanding business doesn't make you wealthy. Only doing the work does that. So, stop waiting to feel ready. Stop thinking that the next piece of information is what you're missing. It's not. What you're missing is movement. Because at some point, you have to ask yourself, am I studying because I'm committed to mastery? Or am I studying because I'm scared to move? There's a fine line between preparation and procrastination. And most people hide behind learning because action demands exposure. It demands you risk being seen. It demands you risk being bad at something before you're great at it. It demands that you trade certainty for momentum. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but comfort is not where greatness lives. It's where potential goes to die. So no, you don't need to know more. You need to do more with what you know. You need to turn your morning routine into non-negotiables. You need to turn your vision board into a schedule. You need to turn your passion into a practice. Because information is only power when it leads to transformation. And transformation doesn't begin with what you learn. It begins with what you do next. And what you do next should come from a mindset that's been rebuilt. Because mindset isn't something you recite. It's something you live. It's the inner command center that turns belief into behavior. It's what allows you to get punched in the mouth by failure and still whisper, "We're not done." And your mindset, it doesn't get stronger through lectures. It gets stronger through reps, through exposure, through choosing consistency over comfort. Because mindset without discipline is just hope in disguise. And hope is not a strategy. You need discipline. You need the spine to execute without applause. You need the will to take that book you highlighted and make it a part of your daily identity. Discipline isn't about doing what feels good. It's about doing what's aligned. And alignment, that only happens when your actions echo your values. Not when you say you want success, but when your schedule proves it. Not when you plan to write, to train, to build, but when you show up anyway. Tired, uncertain, uncomfortable. That's how habits are rewired. That's how lives are redesigned. That's how ideas become impact. So let this moment draw a line in the sand between who you were when you only consumed and who you are now that you produce. You are not a collector of concepts. You are a creator of momentum. Because belief without behavior is fiction, and vision without execution is just a hallucination. You say you believe in yourself, then prove it. Not to me, to you, with your calendar, with your habits, with your refusal to stay the same. Because belief is not a feeling. Belief is a decision to rise before you feel ready, to move before you feel perfect, to show up when everything in your body says stay the same. Belief is the fire beneath your excuses. It's the voice that interrupts your comfort with clarity. It's the moment you stop waiting for momentum and start creating it. And when belief takes root, vision comes alive. You stop dreaming in generalities and start building in specifics. You start seeing your future, not as a wish, but as a result you are creating. You walk into every room already having seen the outcome, not because it's guaranteed, but because it's been decided. And when vision is married to belief, purpose is born. Purpose isn't about finding yourself. It's about remembering yourself. It's not a job title. It's not your passion. It's not some cute sentence you post on social media. Purpose is that invisible contract between your soul and your assignment. It's why you wake up different. It's why you endure more. It's why you refuse to quit, even when no one's watching. Because when you know your purpose, you stop needing permission. You stop needing applause. You stop chasing likes and start chasing legacy. And you don't run from repetition, and you respect it. You respect the mundane. You honor the boring. You fall in love with the grind that no one claps for, because you finally understand repetition is revelation. The world thinks success is found in some big, sexy moment. But you know the truth. Success is found in the discipline to do what you said you would, long after the emotion you said it in has faded. And when that level of discipline becomes your identity, gratitude becomes your power. Not the shallow kind, not